people over the past couple of days have been talking about Forza Horizon 6 possible locations, and I wanted to do the same and jump on the bandwagon, and that is exactly what we're doing today. So, in today's video, I'm going to give you 5 places I would love to see Forza Horizon 6 based in. Before we jump into any of the locations, though, it is worth noting that Forza Horizon 6 probably won't be coming out until the end of 2024 at the earliest, if the past games can tell us anything about the future. So don't expect this game anytime soon. With that being said, though, for a game of Forza Horizon scale, I am certain that the developers are working on it right now. Obviously, it's not possible to tell, like, what stage they're at. They could be super early, planning out, like, the core pillars of the game, working on some boring stuff like getting licenses and working with governments and all that sorts of stuff. Who knows, but I would place bets that they're working on it right now. So if you're a developer and you're watching this, hi, you're probably saying one of two things at the end of this video. Haha, he has absolutely no idea what we're doing, or, oh shit, how'd he know that? Anyways, so obviously, no, there are going to be no predictions in this video, no assumptions. The way I kind of want to treat this video is two friends kind of having a conversation back and forth, except I do all the talking and you don't have much to say, unless you'd like to leave a comment down below and let me know what you think. And again, before we jump into my top 5 locations for Forza Horizon 6, I think it is worth explaining why the location is so important, especially for a racing game like Forza Horizon. Obviously, there's things like the cars that need to relate back to the landscape. For example, in FH3, there were a ton of Australian cars. In FH4, you saw things like the London Taxi and a bunch of UK classics. In FH5, you got things like Papa Fernando's Beetle and so on. Cars are a huge part and relate back to the landscape a ton. And then there's things like the culture, the landscape, the feeling, the emotion that you get from driving around these locations. Obviously, the gameplay that you're gonna have is vastly different depending on where the game is actually going to take place as well. And then there's always some other reasons to maybe consider one location over another. For example, one of the lesser known reasons why Forza Horizon 5 is based in Mexico is because Xbox has a super fast growing player base there, and one of the best ways to relate to that player base is to host a game in that country. So I think it goes to show there are a ton of factors that need to be considered when choosing a location for any game, actually, not just Forza Horizon. So although you might hear people yelling online saying, oh, this is the perfect location for a Forza Horizon game, that may not necessarily be true based off other factors that need to be considered as well. So without further ado, let's jump into my top 5 locations for Forza Horizon 6. And let's start it off with this one. Welcome to Forza Horizon Germany. I feel like it goes without saying, but I feel like Germany pretty much nails the car thing pretty much immediately. But that's not all it actually nails. The landscape of Germany is just insane. And as a scaled down version of the country with all the best bits, we could have some incredible locations. Scattered throughout pretty much all of Germany is super historic castles and cathedrals all over the place with beautiful, unique architecture. One of my personal favorites is this, the Burg Eltz Castle, and it is just insane. Imagine rocking up to this place in your Lamborghini Aventador in a Forza Horizon game. It would be insane. And then there's the roads themselves. Obviously, you've got things like the Autobahn. Imagine seeing the AI traffic in Forza Horizon just unlimited and trying to send it as fast as possible. It would be so cool. And then you've also got things like this, the German Alpine Road, which is 500 kilometers of twists and turns up and down hills and mountains, and it is insane. Not to mention all of the super historic cities, the beautiful little towns scattered in the countryside. You have a little bit of everything, and a scaled down version of Germany as a Forza Horizon map would just be insane. Anyways, speaking of insane places, let's bring it a little bit closer to home. For me specifically, welcome to Forza Horizon Canada, specifically Vancouver. I mean, when I say closer to home, I think it'd actually be faster for me to get to the UK than it would be to get to Vancouver. Canada is a bit of a big place. Now, I know that Canada and Vancouver might not have all of, like, the rich history and the super old buildings that you might see in other places that I'm going to mention on my list. But what Vancouver does present is probably one of the most insane landscapes and beautiful landscapes in the entire world. Vancouver itself has a massive downtown core that you can fill up with all the skyscrapers that you could imagine, so fulfilling that want that players have had for a little while now. If you go off to the western side of Vancouver, you actually start to get some islands, specifically places like Victoria, which in real life you have to take ferries to, but in Forza Horizon's world, you could connect those with some crazy looking bridges or some massive underground tunnels. Could be super cool. Off to the eastern side of Vancouver, you've got one of the world's largest mountain ranges. If you ever saw that episode of Top Gear where Richard Hammond was like abandoned at the top of a snowy mountain, that's what I'm talking about. And at the end of the day, because Canada is, well, Canada, if you go too far north, you will inevitably run into a couple of bears, specifically grizzly bears and polar bears, depending on how far north you go, which again could be super fun for a Forza Horizon game. How cool would this be? If you imagine Forza Horizon 6 would feature seasons like some of the previous games has, and you kind of bent the rules of physics, but imagine if all the water on the map froze during the winter season. You could drive across the water over to some of those islands on the western coast, and it could potentially open up new areas towards the north where you could find sort of that unique wildlife, which would be super, super cool. Not to mention the opposite is always true as well. Imagine on the eastern side of the map, if you got a pounding of snow during the winter season, you could potentially see roads close down at the top of some of those mountains, and it would kind of make them impassable unless you were in like a massive truck, for example. That would be so cool. Anyways, I think that's enough about Canada. Let's move it on to number 3. And that is Forza Horizon South Africa. South Africa is a place that I personally have always had in the back of my head. However, after Forza Horizon 5 came out, South Africa could feel a little repetitive to Forza Horizon Mexico. South Africa is an incredible place with an insane amount of natural beauty, whether it be the massive mountains, the insane amount of coasts, the incredible deserts, and so on. And then there's all of the other things, whether you want like a downtown core like Cape Town or Johannesburg. It's got something for everyone. And then it's got all of the little stuff as well, like all of the little landmarks scattered all throughout the country. South Africa is definitely a place, if done correctly, could provide some insane gameplay for us to mess around with. However, like I said, after following up Mexico, it could potentially feel a little repetitive. Let's move it on to number 4, though, and this is probably my favorite one of the bunch. Forza Horizon, Northern Europe, Scandinavia, whatever you want to call it. This would be insane. The way I imagine Northern Europe or Scandinavia is kind of a collage of the best of each of these places, whether it be Finland, Norway, Sweden, Denmark, even if you tossed in the Faroe Islands. Does that even count as a country? I think it does. Imagine a Forza Horizon condensed version of those places all together. You would have one of the most unique maps ever. It wouldn't be just a little island plopped in the middle, or like a little strip of land, or a little thing of coast on one of the sides of the map. No. There would be water all over the place, and navigating that water would just be insane. Again, you could fill it with all sorts of cool bridges, tunnels. That super cool, unique one that they've got. I think it's Sweden. I think. This thing. Somebody knows where it is. Not to mention, again, the seasons would work beautifully in Northern Europe. You have some of the nicest summers ever, and the coldest and intense winters ever. And it would just be so much fun to actually go and explore. Anyways, and with that, let's move on to number 5, Forza Horizon You thought I was gonna do it, weren't you? You thought I was gonna. I'm not gonna do it. No, I'm not doing it. I don't know if it's just me, but this is the way I feel with how much Japan has been just overhyped by straight up everybody over the past 20 years. I just feel like straight up, regardless of how good the map actually is, the map could be an 11 on 10, and there would still be people out there saying, oh, well, that's not good enough. And that's just sad. Now, I'd be lying if I said I didn't want to see a Forza Horizon game in Japan. It would be incredible. Just like the insane amount of variety in Japan is just unbelievable, unmatched. The culture, the car culture is insane. The natural beauty, Fuji Mountain is an insane place. The history with like all of the Japanese temples all around the country are beautiful. And then there's all of the man-made things like the massive Japanese highways, the bullet trains, and Tokyo's downtown core. It's a crazy place. And I mean, it's no secret that the developers know that the community wants Forza Horizon to take place in Japan. Just take a look at the event labs that people are building in FH5, or all of the wish lists that people have had for the last 57 years. It's just, I straight up don't know. Because, like, on one hand, it would be great, but on the other hand, it would just, it'd be too much. It'd be straight up too much. So there you go. Those are my top 5 locations for Forza Horizon 6. Obviously, we have no information to go off of, and I wouldn't be at all surprised if I was wrong about every single one of these. There you go, though. Let me know what you guys think in the comments section down below. As always, as soon as we do hear about Forza Horizon 6, I will definitely let you guys know. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.